Okay. I don't know about you guys, but it only seemed fitting. You see things a little bit differently here, and we've added somebody to the mix. This is crazy because we're going to talk about, we've gone on long enough and we've waited for this. We're going to talk about one of the hottest. I'm going to throw that up in air quotes because everybody has their own opinions. One of the hottest stories going on in WWE. A very homogenistic. Is that a word? Is that a fucking word? Did I just make up a word, guys? Anyways, that's KJ the intern. That's little Brady Wedham, LBW. This is the law, and we're going to talk a little bit of the Wyatt.
Let's do it. Wyatt, six it up.
Did I make up a word there, though?
I don't know.
You might have.
I don't.
Homogenistic? Because
it could be.
Very is, right? If you think about the different things that they're trying to do, and this is obviously, Bo Dallas's interpretation, the WWE's interpretation of what they wanted to see with the Uncle Howdy character, and the Bray Wyatt stuff, so to speak.
Yeah, so we got a bit of a tease of this probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, maybe about let's say 7 months. Let's just say
a very different look.
Well, what was happening is Bo was doing this on a YouTube channel, and it was very similar to what we're seeing on Raw. I think it was actually better. It was coming across better on his YouTube channel. Seeds were planted, then it just disappeared, and everybody kind of knew that this was probably going to happen. And now we're seeing it actually. It's been about a month now, I guess. Would it be technically a month, I guess, by the time we've recorded this, that this storyline has been going on. We've had the opening debut murder scene, and then that led to 3 weeks of videotapes being dropped off on the announcer's desk, which has led to a VHS tape being played later on in the show, Bo conversing back and forth with his inner demon, Uncle Howdy. So that's the basis of where we're at and where we're at to this point when we're sitting down and recording.
Sure. Here's my first question, though.
Okay.
KJ, hello.
Hello.
Hi, KJ. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing all right. I am doing just fine.
What time does the Elvis clock say it is?
It has been stuck firmly, I think, at 3:05 for the last 6 months.
It's the wrong fucking answer, KJ. It's the wrong answer. It's been stuck on shake, rattle, and roll time. That's what it's been stuck on, son.
Well, it's been shaking on no time, but I will tell you this.
Okay.
Still works well.
Well, I'm excited. I don't know about the rest of you. All right, KJ, what's your first impression of all of this Wyatt sixness?
My first impression has been optimistic. I've always been optimistic of the Bray Wyatt stuff. I've always been optimistic of the world that he built, because I was there for when The Fiend first debuted. I was in the audience for that, and that was a spine experience. Yeah.
Can I outside of spine chilling?
Yes.
How cool was that?
It was one of the coolest things I've ever personally seen. Like it was incredible.
What was the crowd atmosphere like?
So at first, the whole crowd atmosphere was kind of like, "What the hell is this?" And they were kind of, because they were expecting to just see Bray Wyatt a little bit more spooky, like when they tried to put him in the Sister Abigail veil. But when they saw the whole lighting and the thing, and once the severed head was acknowledged to be a severed head, people were like, "Holy crap!" And then the entrance music that just punched you in the face, like the whole vibe and setup was perfect. The only problem that I ever saw was that his spookiness never seemed to translate well to the wrestling matches. They always kind of died a death in ring, because very hard, I guess, to manage somebody that's even above Kane and The Undertaker in terms of how they're supposed to be unkillable monsters. I feel like Bray Wyatt's Fiend was even supposed to be levels above that, because Undertaker and Kane seemed vulnerable in some aspect, whereas the Fiend, they never quite found that, I don't think. So fast forward to the Wyatt 6 stuff. I'm optimistic about it because, again, it's shot really well. Its opening was really cool. You got a good punch in the face. They've got the good creepy music where it's just the one piano key, and that builds your tension. And then you've got all of these different characters and avenues that you can hopefully explore, because it seems like we're in an age where Triple H is giving more of that freedom to explore dynamics and characters, at least from what I've picked up. So, my impressions are like that.
All right. Here's my first question for you, KJ. If you had to venture a guess, if you had to throw it out there into the world and venture a guess, what note would you say that is that they're playing on the piano?
I'm gonna go with an E minor.
Wow. I don't know if I'm not even going to touch that,
You
which is
can't.
something
Don't.
that you shouldn't do either. Okay, listen, here's my next question for you. And we talked about, like, I don't know about you, dude, but that Bray Wyatt, like the Bray Wyatt stuff, when he used to do that flip upside down, like the weirdo going down the stairs character thing.
Crabwalk, yeah.
Okay, sure, we'll call it that.
Reverse crabwalk.
That's spooky as F to me. Now, I totally get what you're saying, and this is something that I've said about this whole Wyatt 6 stuff, is how is all of this going to translate inside of the ring, right? Because we're looking at this right now, and we're seeing all of this spookiness, all of this craziness, and people and bodies strewn in the backstage, and smoke and mirrors and all of this stuff. But how is that? Or are they going to do the matches that dark? Are they going to play this out even more?
I think they may go that route where you're going to see smoke throughout the whole match. Let's backtrack a bit to Bray Wyatt again.
Okay.
And the end of the Wyatt family era, leading into him going into this Funhouse gimmick.
Sure.
So the match at WrestleMania with Randy Orton, what were your thoughts on that? Where they were going overhead and showing worms and all this stuff in the ring. What did you guys think about that? You think that was too much? It was too far? Didn't make any sense? What the fuck?
I thought it was horrible, personally.
Yeah. Chris, do you remember that or no?
Vaguely, yes. But yeah. I mean, listen, I'm okay with all of that, because that's just the new slop. That's just the new, you know what I mean? It's the new blood. It's the new boogeyman with eating of the worm. Like, there's, you know what I mean? What are we creeped out by now?
If it was real worms, you know but if it was real worms, it'd be different. But I'm talking like this is a WrestleMania match where this is just a projection screen and it's supposed to scare Randy Orton. You know, it's I don't know. I just didn't buy into it, and I didn't buy into the whole leading down again with Randy Orton, them lighting him on fire in the middle of the ring. Now I know that was during COVID. That was more of a studio. All of the stuff felt very studio movie-esque around that time. You can blame it on you can blame it on the pandemic. Mm-hmm. We'll just do that. But the Alexa Bliss stuff that came out of that was fantastic. Her bleeding black blood from her, like, she looked great. That was so. Sometimes you have some weird shit that leads to some good shit, but maybe you should pull back on some of the weird shit. I think we might be in that scenario again, guys.
You're going to pull back on the weird shit?
You're going to get a couple good things that really make sense out of this. But if you go too ham, it's going to make everything else either look. I just don't think it helps as the overall product with where they are right now with the company.
Okay. Do you think they're doing that already, though? Let me ask you that. Because, and the reason that I say this is because if you saw on like Raw this past week or whatever, right?
Yep.
If you saw when they show up, maybe Michael Cole and Pat McAfee or whatever, you know what I mean, or whoever all is doing commentating, maybe they've not been selling it as creepily as they could have. And when you go to Sheamus right after a thing and you see him like, well, that was weird. You know what I mean? Are the workers themselves being as creeped out as they should be by all of this? Are they selling that part of it enough? Or are they trying to soften it up, right? So that we can find the happy medium once you get inside of the ring. Right?
That may be the direction, because it doesn't look any. So what they're doing right now, as of just last Monday night, like you're saying, doesn't look anything like how they debuted. So KJ, can I ask you, what did you think when you seen that debut of the Wyatt 6, where they crept in through the back stage and all that stuff, and everybody was dead? Like, what did you think about that?
I thought it was cool. The problem that I always have is when you go like so super big like that as to simulate death, quote unquote, that's really, really high and just a dangerous game to set, because again, this has to translate to the ring eventually. Like, the bell has to ring and you have to have a match where, like, if you've killed Chad Gable backstage, or attempted to, it's like you have to try and do that again in ring, and now he's selling and he has a back and forth tete-a-tete with you in ring, and it's like that's a difficult thing to bridge the gap. I love the debut. I love the cinematography of the debut. I love the impact of the debut. I love that each character kind of got their own little piece, their own little section, and they were really well defined in terms of, this is your new Mercy the Buzzard, this is your new Sister Abigail, this is your new Rabbit, this is your new Huskus. It's like they've all been redesigned, they've all been reimagined, everybody got a full-on focus shot. I think that's really good in establishing, these are your new people, these are your new characters. And then, of course, to have Uncle Howdy be very clearly the new leader by getting his own shot and getting his own walkthrough. I think that's really good establishing for somebody that doesn't understand or know what Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse stuff was, because there are people that weren't aware or weren't privy. So to have that really well established is a great thing. So I liked that. I liked the debut.
Let me ask both of you guys and everybody else, and quick little side note, shout out to everybody who's watching this on YouTube. Just like, our good buddy Hezbollah is watching it on YouTube, I'm sure, so shout out to Hezbollah as well. Let me ask both of you.
Who may be fighting soon. Rumor is.
Well, that Abdul Razak, the other one that he was supposed to be
just fought
and
called him out.
Angry
little guys.
Anyways.
See, here's the thing.
Anyways,
if anybody's watched the channel, you definitely know little guys get angry.
Yeah, there's a thing. Let me ask you this. Do either of you care, like, when all of this came out and
Never.
the shroud of, you shouldn't, and all the shroud of, like, mystique and everything for this entire organization, do either of you care about who it is playing the characters? Was that ever a thought for any of you guys?
I'm just happy Dexter Lumis is doing something.
Because here, let me show you this. This is literally what's come out, right?
Yeah.
Recently, as to who's playing who.
Well, this came out before. Everybody, when they hired Redbeard, you knew at that point that this was the group.
Yeah. Now, I will say that it definitely looks like Dexter Lumis has grown himself some facial hair, and even some dreads. I really hope that those are his dreads that he's got.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
With the buzzard, with the, what is it, Mercy the Buzzard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that would be dope. A new look is great. And because here's the thing, you have this creepy group or whatever, right? And everybody's scared to death and they murder people backstage. But these guys down at the bottom here, without the masks on, they do things like this, where they just go to, like, frickin' Whataburger and take pictures with people.
That's cute.
Yeah.
So here's my question then. How do we differentiate? What is the art and what is the wrestling aspect of it? And we know that this is all show, but our biggest want out of all of this, that this transcends into the wrestling part, into the ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hope they pull back on the magic and they just make themselves creeps. Like, have you just seen Nikki walking down? Like, let's fast forward a month.
Sure. Zip. Here we are.
Nikki's walking down the hall,
Hey,
eating
Nikki.
worms like the boogeyman. But she's just on her way to the ring.
Okay.
They're just like, what is she doing? Right? Like those kind of things. You can creep people out by being just a creepy human. You don't have to add the magic element and all this, the smoke and lightning bolts and all that stuff. You can just
KJ
be
knows.
weird. Yeah, you can
KJ
be
knows
weird.
all about just creeping people out for the sake of being a creep.
You should have
Gotta
seen what he
love
was
that.
doing to that puppy in the green room before we got here.
KJ, did you rob a pet store? Let me ask you.
So you got
No.
a whole bunch of animals at your house.
Yeah, people just love me. Yeah, and so do dogs.
Okay, that's not a true statement. But anyways, Brandon, let me ask you this, because you brought up a good note about like fast forward a month from now. Let's fast forward a couple of weeks from now. Let's fast forward a month from now. We see that they've picked their first target, right? Chad Gable. And they've kind of thrown out hints as to why, because of the way that he treated his family. So this whole thing is being built up like a cult, or is it just going to be the 6 and they're going to have to do, take care of the target? And then what? What happens to Chad Gable at the end of this? Does he join the 6?
I think we'll find out at SummerSlam. I think
If-
SummerSlam is the big payoff for this, or the
So
first
who do you-
big payoff for this.
So who do you go after next? Let me ask you guys that. Let's fantasy book this a little bit right now. And you know what I mean? Because there can't just be Chad Gable. I honestly got to think that Chad Gable is like the test run to see how big they can go, to see if they can go after a Randy Orton, to see if they can, go after somebody who's, pardon the pun, unfuckwithable.
Well,
You know
let's throw
what I
it
mean?
back on you first, though.
Okay.
Who do you think out of who's there or who's available on the free market or whatever? It doesn't even matter. Pick anybody. Let's fantasy book this completely fantasy. Take MJF if you want to.
Nope.
Who I'm just saying. Every option is open.
Yep.
What would you do?
Listen, John Cena. I would make that part of his final run, because that's the guy you're going to get the most out of, in my opinion, anyways. He's the biggest star. And think about it. Him and Bray were supposed to do a match. There was never that before that Funhouse, you know what I mean, thing that they did. There was supposed to be an actual match, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think that would be a really cool homage, so to speak, if they got him involved. And what a great way to keep John Cena involved for the next year without having to, always be there. He's got a lot of filming stuff, so he could shoot a bunch of vignette stuff at any given time, and then they just release it and edit it and put it out and do that whole thing until they need the blow-offs. I think Cena would be an ideal choice for something like that.
That would have never crossed my mind. I don't know why. Maybe because I just don't see Cena enough to actually think he's still part of the roster, although he just came back on the weekend. But yeah, no, that would be
like, if we're shooting for the stars, I think you do that. I think out the gate, maybe you go for somebody like Bayley, because Bayley's a safe choice too as a baby face, and she just had the falling out with the faction that she was with, and left all of them. So it's a very similar story to the Chad Gable kind of story, right? With him leaving his group and treating them wrong, or whatever the case may be. So if you're looking at it from that point of view, then I think that those are some really good safe starts. Everybody, of course, is going to say, "Oh, the bloodline, they should write the bloodline."
Oh, no. Fuck that.
I don't think that they should go anywhere near the Judgment Day. I think that they've got stories, you know what I mean, that they can do on their own there. I think that somebody like, The Miz, fucking R-Truth, let's get him involved with all of this. You know what I mean?
My goodness. R-Truth in that would be crazy.
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be nuts.
Right?
That'd be
because
nuts.
we all know what happens in horror movies, right?
Stop.
KJ, what do you think?
What?
My first thought when I was thinking about them was like to me they would have to go after people that hurt Bray in some form of way. Like, one, I want to keep them as culty as possible. So no spook, more cult, because it seems like they're even kind of doing that where they're like, hey, this is who they were. Like, they were little like quick flashes in the vignette that just passed of everybody. So you did see Nikki Cross's face, you did see Dexter Lumis, you did see Gacy, and you also see Bo Dallas completely out of Uncle Howdy makeup on TV. So he's legitimately supposed to be Bo Dallas that just happens to also be Uncle Howdy. So I want to keep it culty. Then I want them to go after people that hurt Bray Wyatt in some form of fashion. So the first person that I thought of was Seth Rollins. I thought with the fact that he's out of the world title contention, or supposed to be, whatever. But if you keep him out of the world title contention and you have him going after um or the six going after him, and he's got to build a group, or maybe try to build a group. But the fact that he's turned on people and he's been topsy-turvy and he's had groups before and all of them fail due to his own hubris, that's really interesting and that's really entertaining to jump into. I think Randy Orton is a tremendous shout for something like a Survivor Series Royal Rumble time, like some quarter where it's like Randy Orton was a guy that mentally broke Bray Wyatt with all of the shenanigans that he did, even though that match for the WWE title was kind of crap and but even still, and then following that up again during pandemic era, I think that's a fantastic way to do things, and just kind of stuff that, so John Cena as well would be great down the line as well, like just people that hurt Bray. So because at the core of this, Bo Dallas is like, we were supposed to do it together and now he's not here anymore.
Can I ask,
yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Out of that group that we just seen, it has a leader, it has a young lady, right, to do the lady bidding. It's got an enforcer, big giant enforcer, right, and Redbeard. It's got a mental giant. He's a mental giant, and Joe Dexter Loomis, who is the creep. What's the one thing that it's missing, guys? It's missing.
Catering.
Yeah, it's missing a veteran. It's missing an old head that can come in there and be the wise mentor, so that they don't have to constantly rely on this Uncle Howdy spiritual message from above. They have a working relationship with TNA right now, do they not? What's the one thing that Triple H created from the ground up that was nice and creepy that Vince just didn't get? Do you think that you see Eric Young show up?
Wow, that's a huge stretch, but
It's a huge. We're talking fantasy.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
That would pop the crowd, because the crowd would instantly be like, "What the hell?" Right?
So
and
the question is if that we
that's
saw
your wily vet,
like you saw, and the struggle. There's the struggle now, even with Bo Dallas and the Uncle Howdy, that they're showing in these vignettes, right?
Well, they're becoming one. They're becoming one, is what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But as Bo Dallas is the character for Bo Dallas, do they take it in an angle where he tries to beg for help from Uncle Howdy, asks for help? Maybe that's why he was in the office that past week on Raw or whatever. You know what I mean? When he went to talk to Adam Pearce or something. Maybe that's why he's going to management as Bo Dallas. And you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Maybe he's asking.
Hey,
You're right.
help,
Maybe he's asking for
me.
counseling.
Right? I need help.
Wow.
I need help. These demons are you don't want these guys loose. You don't want these demons set free. You don't want them out there anymore. Help me get rid of them.
I'll fully admit, when the debut happened, I felt insulted.
Okay.
Right. I really did. And you could hear it on the episode. Like, I think it was episode 33 or something like that, 34, where I was like, I don't want to talk about it. I think it's a pity party and all this stuff. Like, because that's what it felt like at first. And I at this point, after watching the past 4 weeks, I take that back. I think this is a very well thought out storyline. I do think they have to take a halt. Like, you know what it's like, guys. Trial and error, right? You'll figure it out week to week. This stuff will develop itself. But I do hope that they pull back on the magic thing, make this a little bit more believable. Like KJ said, emphasize the cult stuff, emphasize the creepy stuff. And let's go from there and see what that does. And if you have to add magic to it, then you add magic to it. We still have Alexa Bliss sitting in the wings.
My hot take, I don't think Alexa Bliss should be a part of it.
You don't?
I think
yourself.
Nikki Cross should like destroy her. I think Alexa Bliss should come back, think that she's part of the again, people that hurt Bray Wyatt.
That's fun.
People
That's
that
fun.
hurt Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss is one of them people. She
That's fun.
screwed him in the last WrestleMania match. I think she should come back. She should be like, I'm going to be a part of this family. We know that she's going to be somebody that wants to try and take over. And Nikki Cross is like, F you. This is my shot. I love Bo because Bo is who I know, or Uncle Howdy is who I know. You might have known Bray Wyatt and screwed him. You're not part of this. I think that would be an excellent swerve to do. That gives something tangible for Nikki Cross. I think that also elevates her, because that's the problem. You've got a bunch of these guys, a bunch of these characters that have had nothing going on for years. And if you want to bring in established people to be the crux of this, I think you're missing the point. Like, Bray taking Luke Harper and Eric Rowan and making them something that could go toe-to-toe with the Shield, I think is really important. To bring people on top of that are already established names just because, well, we know Alexa Bliss. I think that misses the point of having Nikki Cross and all of these no-name people or lesser-known name people. They don't get their shine. So, fuck it. Take away everything that Bray Wyatt had. This is new. And this is more powerful, or could be more powerful. So Alexa Bliss should not be part of it.
You know what, KJ? Eloquently said, my friend.
Intern KJ came to represent today for all of the fans out there.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing, guys. That's cool. That's why I like doing stuff like this. We're going to do more of these things because I want to get that fan's point of view, and I want to mix it with our point of view as people that have, seen the other side of the curtain, been on the other side of the railing for half a second. And that's what makes this kind of cool and a little different or whatever. So just been
okay.
fun.
Well, before we head out of here, guys, you got anything you want to plug before we roll the ride out?
RockSolidFanClub.ca gives you full access to Canada's leader in professional wrestling, featuring legends like Mick Foley, modern megastars such as Cody Deaner, and future sensations like Tyler Turva. RockSolidFanClub.ca offers exclusive series, podcasts, live streams, specials, and full events, all for less than $9 a month. Sign up today at RockSolidFanClub.ca, where real fans get it.
どこをどり出す